Hey everyone, Pugs here, and today I'm starting my reviews of Season 8 of SpongeBob SquarePants. Today we begin with Accidents Will Happen and the Other Patty. I suppose a connecting thread for these episodes is the Krusty Krab. The latter isn't strictly a Krusty Krab episode, but it's not a Krusty Krab episode either, so... Anyway, as always, thank you all for watching the video today. It's great seeing y'all still here for the beginning of a new season. And now, let's just get right into it. Our very first look at Season 8 is Accidents Will Happen, an episode that I've always had a soft spot for. Yeah, I'm not quite sure why, or, well, I guess on a certain level I am, but I've always kind of liked this one. It stood out to me. And so when I rewatched this episode for the purposes of reviewing it, I felt pretty good going into it. And I realize as I write that in a script that sounds like a setup for me to say that I was totally wrong and the episode was trash, but it's not a setup. I felt good going in and I felt good going out too. Listen, there's lots of things to like in this episode. First of all, we've got the title card, which both looks cool and has a cool backing track, Sea Rise and Clam Hatton. And then, more relevantly, I love Squidward in this episode. He's so funny. Yeah, Troll Bob is the character persona that I love the most, but Trollward isn't bad either. Especially after all the trials and tribulations that we've seen Squidward endure, particularly at the hands of Mr. Krabs. It's nice to see him get one over on the crustacean, at least for most of this episode. And I really love how Squidward keeps his trolling ways to Mr. Krabs, too. He doesn't involve SpongeBob in it. This episode is a lot like Krusty Towers in that way, which is similarly an episode with Trollward, particularly where Mr. Krabs is concerned. I just adore Squidward's smugness as the episode goes on, especially in the fluff it bit, like that has me rolling laughing. Mr. Krabs is similarly great in this episode. The bit when Squidward first gets injured is hilarious because even though the punchline, Mr. Krabs being concerned about his merchandise, can be seen from a mile away, it still lands and lands hard, and that's how you know you've got a good joke going for you. Also, Mr. Krabs' dialogue in this episode is especially great, especially during these first few minutes. And as always, Clancy Brown gives excellent deliveries, further elevating the dialogue. I love the relationship between him and Squidward in this episode, with both of them trolling each other at least once, and I feel like this episode is helped a lot by the previous history that these two characters have shared, both the implied history and the actual events that we've seen in the show. Although this does make Mr. Krabs' repeated insulting of Squidward at the beginning of this episode feel out of place, at least at first, but considering that Mr. Krabs insults basically everybody, I don't think we should take too much stock out of the insults that he hurls Squidward's way, you know? It's basically an expression of care at this point. As for our titular character, SpongeBob himself plays a relatively minor role in this episode compared to the other two big players, but that doesn't make him any less great. His strict following of the OWS code is so very him, and I love his enthusiasm and eagerness to give first aid. His extra tall hat in that scene is absolutely adorable too. SpongeBob's naivety is on full display in this episode, and it's endlessly endearing here, especially because it lends itself to the quasi-father-son relationship between Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob. And, of course, I love that as a Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob father-son crumbs enjoyer. SpongeBob's investigation of the incident is also a fun little plotline, which surprisingly brings Patrick into the fold for a funny gag. And then I love how in the end SpongeBob calls up OWS anyway because he can't get to the bottom of the investigation. It's a funny way to lead to the predictable result of OWS showing up. Accidents Will Happen is also a Krusty Krab business practices plot, and y'all know I love those. Yeah, this time it's more internally facing, what with OSHA or OWS violations and such, but I actually love those kinds of episodes even more than the attracting customers kind. I don't know, something about seeing how low down Mr. Krabs can be is fascinating to me, and he isn't even that bad in this episode considering how Squidward manipulates him. The dramatics in this episode are also in top form, from Mr. Krabs' entire being to Squidward's fabricated tale, and then of course we have the ultimate reveal that Squidward is a dirty liar once Mr. Krabs remembers that he has security cameras. Honestly, rookie move, Squidward, you should have made sure that there was no way you could have been found out. And this of course means that Squidward gets his comeuppance in the end, leaving us with a very satisfying ending. Accidents Will Happen is a great start to this season. I have no problems with this episode, like, at all. As I start getting to these later seasons of the show, I've been trying to be more cognizant of my potential tendency to inflate my scores too much to counteract the negative press about these seasons, but I can say with certainty that this episode deserved its score, being in the amazing tier with a score of 9.4 out of 10. This is simply a fantastic episode. If there's anything bad to be said about it, it's that it's somewhat lacking in jokes, though I honestly didn't really notice that. I think the plot itself is inherently funny, so that keeps me laughing throughout the entire episode. Next up, we've got the other Patty. Man, we were overdue for a Crabs and Plankton cooperation episode. Yeah, the main drain wasn't really that long ago, but still. I like these episodes, so it's been overdue for me. And because I enjoy these kinds of plots a lot, this episode definitely begins at an advantage, and I think that overall it makes good use of this advantage. So, the beginning of The Other Patty is pretty good, and I like how we as an audience are just as confused as Plankton when Mr. Krabs acts suspiciously chill about Plankton stealing a patty. We of course know that Mr. Krabs has gotta have something up his sleeve for him to be acting this way, and so even though the end result of this scene is predictable, I still really enjoy this little sequence, which is usually a good sign. And y'all know that I love me some random explosions. Although, is this really random when I can see it coming from a mile away? Whatever. I just can't believe Plankton fell for it. Shows that even though he's a technological, and in the movie a manipulative, genius, he's very short-sighted. Kinda like Mr. Krabs. And speaking of Mr. Krabs, his new security measure here, having the Krabby Patties explode if they exit 10 feet from the restaurant, is probably the most unexpected part of this scene, because what kind of downright diabolical shit is that? Poor Sandals got blown up. SpongeBob laments over Mr. Krabs and Plankton not working together, to which both of them are like, hell no, we're enemies. And then suddenly there's a new restaurant on the scene, the Flabby Patty, and its patties are good. From here, the other Patty transitions to some fun shenanigans with Mr. Krabs and Plankton trying to steal the Flabby Patty's recipe. Last time we saw something like this, with this kind of intense competition between the two, was in Greasy Buffoons. And despite his best efforts, poor SpongeBob only gets laughed at when he suggests that Krabs and Plankton work together. SpongeBob's blank stare during this is hilarious, and perhaps rather telling given that he's put a bit more effort than we yet know into making these two work together. Also, as I prepared the visuals for this review, I realized that this blank stare SpongeBob has happens 3 different times in this episode, like literally the exact same pose. Kinda funny. Anyway, this part of the episode, which is of course the majority of it, also has some really good jokes as well. I loved the one where Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob were hiding behind a guy and Mr. Krabs was all like, "Do you mind?" when the guy was a little perturbed. I also love how when the crowd ran off after what I'm choosing to see as a reference to Hooky, Mr. Krabs was all like, "How come you're not trampled, the SpongeBob?" That's what happens when laser-guided justice is at play. And, I just really like SpongeBob in this episode because he's his ray of sunshine self wanting Mr. Krabs and Plankton to make up and be friends. And it's also combined a little bit with his Troll Bob self, since he does go through this elaborate plan to make them work together. It would be interesting to see an episode where Mr. Krabs and Plankton do legitimately make up and be friends, kind of like New Leaf. And related to how much I like SpongeBob in this episode is how much I like the writing. I mean, the fact that the Flabby Patty is named what it is and tastes delicious is kind of a dead giveaway to what will be revealed at the end of the episode. I always enjoy some good foreshadowing, and so this episode is really winning some points with me in that regard. Also, SpongeBob's actions after Plankton announces he's gonna try to steal the Flabby Patty's recipe are also pretty telling in retrospect. SpongeBob is kinda a genius for coming up with this little scheme, I love it. So, all in all, The Other Patty was just a really enjoyable episode. It does have a few dull moments here and there, but overall I quite liked it. And it's fun to watch Plankton and Mr. Krabs work together, even if this is under false pretenses. Not to mention that this episode features Troll Bob, which is always something that I like to see. So all of this is why this episode is being put in my great tier, where it comes in with a score of 8.5 out of 10. As always, I'll be ending this video with some closing thoughts of mine. Wow, Season 8. Can't believe we're here. A little later than I'd planned, but it is what it is. And I'll be honest, preparing these videos was a struggle this week, and I think it's going to continue to be a struggle for a little bit because my schedule is in flux, and without structure, I crumble like a wet paper towel. But I'm making it work. It's just a little hard. But what's fun about making things super easy, am I right? Anyway, I don't really have much else to add on about either of these two episodes. It appears that Season 8 is getting off to a strong start, which is exactly like how Season 7 started out. Does this mean I should be nervous for our next Stuck in the Ringer to come around? Well, I hope not. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. And that's a good cue for me to take my leave. So I'm gonna end things here, and I'll see y'all in the next review.